Besides two new e-readers which I'm checking out in a separate video, Onyx also introduced the Boox Tab Ultra, which is a 10.3-inch ink tablet with a pixel density of 227 ppi. Again, you might ask, and you're not alone. I asked myself the same question, because that's the fourth ink tablet generation without an improvement in pixel density in the 10-inch segment. So it very much looks like Amazon got an exclusive deal with the 10.2-inch 300 ppi screen on the Kindle Scribe. I'd imagine Onyx would otherwise have chosen to use the same screen in the Boox Tab Ultra. But even with the same old pixel density, Onyx is emphasizing that the screen got a significant upgrade. To be more precise, the touch layer's thickness was reduced by 50% according to Onyx, and they are now using aluminosilicate glass on the front, for which they promise 30% better light transmittance. That's important because the e-ink screen is reflective, and the less light is absorbed from the screen and its components, the better the readability. Aluminosilicate glass is being used by pretty much all smartphones and tablets. You might have heard of Gorilla Glass, which is also a specific type of this material from a company called Corning. Since Onyx didn't say they were using Gorilla Glass, it's safe to assume that they are using another manufacturer. Just one thing to keep in mind here is that the new material should be more scratch resistant as a result, but without using Gorilla Glass, drop resistance is most likely not as good. With those changes to the screen composition, Onyx promises that the ink display looks clearer and resembles paper even more. Onyx also promises another big change with the refresh modes, which they now call Boox Super Refresh Technology. It has 4 settings: HD, Balanced, Fast and Ultra Fast. They promise better and faster responsiveness and less ghosting thanks to a dedicated GPU. Without any concrete numbers, this sounds a lot like marketing talk to me, to be honest. So without additional info, I remain skeptical and suspect those modes will be basically the same ones as before, mainly just easier to understand. But 2 specs they are mentioning might be an indicator that it's not just marketing talk, but real innovation. The first one is the dedicated GPU. That could help in speeding up refresh rate, so we'll have to see for ourselves if super refresh is really super or just a marketing gimmick. I will come to the second indicator in a moment. Onyx also promises a more even front light. The Boox Note Air 2 Plus, which I have here, was already good to begin with. So if the Tab Ultra is even better, that's great. One big change is the new frame design. While the Onyx Boox Note Air series has rounded corners, the Boox Tab Ultra has a boxier build with clear-cut edges. It looks more like an iPad in that regard. It also has smaller bezels than the Air 2 Plus series, but it's a little thicker with roughly a millimeter more in thickness. But I suspect because of the boxy build and even heavier weight of 480 grams, it will feel like much more than that in comparison. The regular Note Air 2 has 420 grams, the Note Air 2 Plus has 445 grams. One reason for the increased weight is the much larger battery, which now has a capacity of 6300 milliamps. That's incredibly large for an ink device, and also when compared to the Note Air 2 series, which have 3000 and 3700 milliamps. The iPad Pro 11 has around 7600 milliamps. And that's actually the second thing that could point to the super refresh mode being the real deal and not just marketing talk, because a faster refresh of the ink screen would also consume more energy. So the new battery capacity could be the second indicator that the super refresh technology might actually be more than just marketing. One of the biggest changes from the Note Air 2 series and most other models for that matter is the addition of a 16 megapixel camera. And to be honest, I think that's where Onyx took a wrong turn here. They sell it as a document scanning feature, which is certainly nice to have, but I somehow doubt that most people will need that, which wouldn't be an issue if the camera module didn't protrude as much as it does. Just from the press images and product page on the website, it looks quite big and a couple of millimeters thick. So while it would be nice to have the camera if it was flush with the back, even if you don't need it most of the time, I assume it will be a problem when trying to place the Boox Tab Ultra on a flat surface, the way it is designed now. But we'll have to wait and see if a case can compensate for the camera bump. Which brings us to the next interesting bit of the Boox Tab Ultra. It's designed to be used with an optional magnetic keyboard cover, so the focus of the device will not only be handwritten note-taking, but also typing with a physical QWERTY keyboard. Onyx is actually calling the Boox Tab Ultra an e-paper tablet PC on its website, which is a bit of a stretch in my opinion, but the dedicated keyboard is a nice addition to have for sure. While the octa-core CPU and 4 gigs of RAM are the same as on other high-end devices from Onyx, the internal storage was upgraded to 128 gigs and is expandable with a microSD card, which is a big plus. Software-wise, there's a big change coming to the home screen. The new firmware will change the home screen layout to a more typical tablet arrangement, with widgets and app shortcuts, and without the current tab layout. From the press images, it looks like a nice change, which seems to be more refined than the current layout. So all in all, the Onyx Boox Tab Ultra looks like a very interesting device, but with a price of at least $600 US, without the magnetic keyboard cover, it's even more expensive than the already steep priced Note Air 2 series. And while the display improvements certainly sound intriguing, I am skeptical that they are worth the additional cost. Especially since Amazon is now entering the ring with the Kindle Scribe for almost half the price and with a higher pixel density. Sure, you can't install Android apps on the Scribe, and many will say it's like comparing apples and oranges. But for roughly $600, you can get a Kindle Scribe and a Fire HD 10 productivity bundle, which includes the tablet, a Bluetooth keyboard, and a 12 months Microsoft 365 subscription. And with the usual discounts Amazon is regularly providing for the Fire tablets, you might even have some change left after. And yes, I know, it's again 2 devices, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So in my opinion, the Onyx Boox Tab Ultra is a tough sell at this price point. But as always, let's wait for the first real-world reviews for a final verdict. Like and subscribe to not miss my review of the Boox Tab Ultra, and make sure to also watch the Onyx Boox Note Air 2 Plus review in the meantime. So see you there.